Imagine the absolute explosion in the Windy City if the Chicago Bears actually pulled this off, because the latest numbers just dropped, and they are legitimately shocking. With the 2026 salary cap shattering every projection and cracking the $300 million ceiling for the first time in history, the path for a defensive takeover has never been clearer. If the Bears land the superstar we're talking about today, the rest of the league is officially on notice that the North is under new management. If you want to stay ahead of every massive roster move and the latest league-shattering rumors, hit that like button, share this with your crew, and subscribe right now so you never miss a beat. Can you actually believe the price tag being floated for one of the most lethal pass rushers in the game today? We are talking about a guy who has been a human wrecking ball for half a decade, and yet, the latest projections from Pro Football Focus have his market value looking like an absolute bargain for a team with cap space to burn. We're diving deep into the projected contract for Trey Hendrickson, and honestly, if the Bears don't jump on this, it's a missed opportunity of epic proportions. PFF is mocking Hendrickson at a one-year deal worth $21 million with only $17 million guaranteed. Stop and think about that for a second. We are talking about a man who has posted 5 straight seasons with a pass rush grade over 85. Even with the hip injury that limited him to just 7 games and 4 sacks in 2025, he was still ranked 6th among all edge defenders in pass rush efficiency when he was on the field. Does a one-year, prove-it, deal for a top 10 edge rusher sound like a dream come true, or is there a catch we're missing? Now look, I get the hesitation from the bean counters. He's 31 years old. He finished the season on the injury report, and we all know that once you hit 30 in this league, the decline talk starts getting loud. But in a league where you usually have to overpay by $10 or $15 million just to get a guy to answer the phone in free agency, $17 million guaranteed for a sack specialist is essentially a gift. Hendrickson has been screaming for long-term security for years, but after his trade request was denied by Cincinnati and he played on a revised one-year bridge, he's finally hitting the open market. Because he's coming off a year where he only suited up for 7 games, the market might be cooling on him just enough for Ryan Poles to swoop in and steal him. If you pair Trey Hendrickson with Montez Sweat, you aren't just building a defensive line, you're building a nightmare for every quarterback in the NFC North. Think about the rotation we could be looking at. You've got Sweat on one side, Hendrickson on the other, and Austin Booker developing into a serious problem as your third man. Booker really came into his own last year despite starting the season on IR, racking up 5 sacks in limited action, and showing some serious flashes in that Week 15 win against the Browns where he logged 2 sacks. You add a high-round draft pick or a young interior disruptor like Shamar Turner to that mix, and suddenly, the Bears' pass rush goes from improving to elite overnight. This brings us to our big question of the day, and I want to see the comments section absolutely blowing up with your takes. If you are the GM, do you pull the trigger on Trey Hendrickson for $21 million even with the injury history, or do you think that money is better spent on a younger, long-term asset like odafe? Drop a yes or a no in the comments right now and tell me why. But wait, the plot thickens because the market is shifting in some very strange ways as we head toward the 2026 offseason. Look at what's happening with Jaelan Phillips. He was a monster after getting traded from Miami to Philadelphia, yet his projection is sitting at a measly 1 year for $15 million. If that's the actual price, you can bet every contender in the league will be tripping over themselves to sign that contract. And then there's the emotional wildcard, the return of a legend. Khalil Mack is still out there, and the rumors are swirling. He's 34 now and some are whispering about retirement, but he finished last year with a stellar 83.2 PFF grade and still has plenty of gas in the tank. Mack played last year on a fully guaranteed $18 million deal and looked like a vintage game-changer. PFF has him projected at 1 year for $14 million fully guaranteed this time around. Imagine the homecoming. Imagine Khalil Mack back in a Bears uniform, providing that veteran leadership and a run defense presence that Hendrickson sometimes lacks. If the Hendrickson deal falls through, Mack is the ultimate backup plan. There was mutual interest last year before the Chargers locked him down, and now, With the Chargers potentially looking to move on after acquiring odafe mid-season, the door is wide open for a reunion in Chicago. The financial flexibility the Bears have right now is staggering. Even with the cap jumping to over $300 million, the Bears have some work to do, currently sitting slightly over the projected limit. But with simple restructures for guys like Cole Kmet or potentially moving on from veterans like Tremaine Edmunds, Ryan Poles can easily clear $30 million in a heartbeat to make this happen. Let's look at the Plan B options because the depth in this free agent class is insane. You have Boye Mafe projected at 3 years for $49 million, a guy who has been a consistent pressure machine in Seattle. You have Joey Bosa sitting at a 1-year, $11 million projection after another season where health was a concern. If you're the Bears, do you take a chance on Bosa's health, or do you stick with the proven, high-volume production of a guy like Hendrickson? There's also Arnold Ebiketie, who is hitting the market at the perfect time after a career-best year as a pass rusher. Despite playing limited snaps, he produced a massive 16.8% pass rush win rate. He could be the perfect value add to beef up the rotation without breaking the bank. We also have to talk about the draft, because Ryan Poles is at a crossroads. The 2026 class is absolutely loaded with defensive trench talent. If the Bears sign a veteran like Hendrickson or Mack to a 1-year deal, it buys them the freedom to take the best player available instead of reaching for a need. They could look at a defensive tackle to pair with Jervin Dexter, or even bolster the secondary. The synergy between free agency and the draft is where championships are won, and for the first time in a decade, it feels like the Bears have a clear, intelligent plan to dominate the line of scrimmage. Let's weigh the options because the math is starting to get very interesting. Would you rather have Trey Hendrickson at $21 million for 1 year, or would you take the nostalgia and the reliability of Khalil Mack at $14 million? Hendrickson gives you that pure, unadulterated speed off the edge, 35 sacks over the 2 seasons before his injury. Mack gives you the all-around dominance, and the veteran savvy. Either way, the Bears are in a position to weaponize their cap space in a way that could shift the power balance of the division. The idea of Hendrickson only getting $17 million guaranteed feels like a lowball estimate, and he'll likely hunt for $25 million per year. But if the market stays this suppressed due to his age and injury status, the Bears have to be the first team to call his agent. The defensive front is the heartbeat of this team. We saw how much of a difference Montez Sweat made the moment he stepped onto the field. Adding another perennial 15-sack threat next to him isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity if this team wants to make a deep playoff run. The league is watching, the fans are waiting, and the front office is on the clock. This offseason is about to get wild, and the Chicago Bears are right in the center of the storm. We're going to be live later today to break down even more of these cap projections and looking at potential cuts to free up that space, so make sure your notifications are on. It's a great time to be a fan, and the moves made in the next few weeks will define the next decade of football in this city. Bear down.